they engage with us, maybe not that day, but a couple of days later, and we take them to community bridges and or take them back to CAS so they can have a safe place to stay and start their cycle back to living normally and getting out of here finally.
CAS also works to fill unmet needs such as access to dental care and treatment. Case managers work closely with shelter managers to ensure that each client develops a workable case plan and has easy access to the supportive services needed to begin life beyond CAS.
Lynn, she's our poster child, and we've used her for quite a while. She was what we wished every patient or client coming in here was. She was bright, she was high functioning. She had some domestic violence issues that we had to take care of, but her biggest problem was her lack of teeth, and she only had the 2 teeth that you see here on the screen, and there was no way with those 2 teeth that Lynn was employable. And so because of Lynn's personality and how compliant she was with her case plan and treatment plan, 2 of our docs took Lynn as a special case, and it took 2 of them to bring her back to what she originally had. So they did on Lynn a bridge and denture work, about $10,000 worth of work. And you can see here the before and the after pictures. So she went from unemployable to actually stunning in the after picture. Lynn would go to the United Way presentations with me because United Way helps out our dental clinic. And I will go and speak to organizations and say, hey, look what we're doing here at CAS because United Way helps us. Well, Lynn spoke with me. And my emphasis, of course, was always that Lynn was more employable. And I repeated that and I repeated that. And Lynn was standing behind me and I said, well, Lynn's just more employable now. Look, she wasn't employable before. And she grabbed the mic off of me and she said, look, I'm dateable. I'm dateable. We all want to be dateable. Lynn had it. I mean, she had it. That was what was important to her, and that's what's important to our clients. When you get down to it, don't we all want to be dateable?
Imagine finding yourself with no job. You quickly burn through all savings and quickly lose your home. Unable to pay for medication, a simple illness spirals into a more serious condition. You're unable to make your car payment. You lose your source of transportation. Recognizing the need to shed only that which is necessary to sustain your life, you soon find that all your personal possessions fill only 1 or 2 suitcases. Your homeless crisis has begun. Luckily, in this community, CAS exists to bring stability to those men and women who find themselves in crisis. Having access to a place of safety and security, rather than remaining in the streets, is very important. Clearly, however, many individuals require services beyond a bed and access to hygiene items, clothing, and food. To really reach self-sufficiency, many clients need access to additional supportive services. Services like help with getting a new job, working through the paperwork process to gain benefits, or locating affordable housing. This is permanent, affordable, supportive housing. So the key word in that is permanent. So clients can stay here as long as they have a tenant relationship with our facility. They pay rent just like any other renter would, and they can stay here as long as they continue to make the rent and do what any other renter would do. They maintain their behavior and those type of things. In terms of success and how long they actually stay, over 70 to 80% of our clients any given year have lived here at least a year. We have 8 clients living in the facility right now who have been here since the program started 10 years ago. And so when you see numbers like that, this really is the solution. This is the end of homelessness for that individual. We had a mentally ill client who was on 12 different prescriptions for his mental illness and other conditions, was put in this facility. After a couple weeks, we all know how that goes with prescriptions, where you have, A after B and B after C and C with water and C after a meal. After a couple weeks of that routine that his case manager had given him, he couldn't maintain those anymore. He couldn't maintain that sequence, and so as a result, he was starting to have the side effects accumulate on him. And in a normal situation out in the public, that's an individual who stops taking the medications to avoid the stomach aches and avoid the headaches and avoid the side effects. Once you start taking those medicines, eventually you start taking the key medicine that's keeping you sane or addressing your mental illness. And that's a person who decompensates and ends up back at the shelter, or ends up back in a hospital. In this situation, he basically came to the resident service coordinator, and the resident service coordinator did exactly what our family members would do for us in that situation. Got the pillbox, gave them the instructions, and that client was able to go back on, stay on their meds, and ultimately save their apartment. They were able to stay in their housing. They didn't decompensate, they didn't trash the apartment, they were able to stay housed. And that's the community that this setting involves. And now for a lot of clients, they do keep a folder of special prescriptions and give them times to show up to take them. Little things like that is the community that keeps people housed and can be the difference between somebody maintaining their housing and ending up back on the street or in a shelter or in the emergency services system.
That's hard to say. I get Social Security, but it just doesn't pay enough to support an apartment outside. If I didn't have Steel Commons, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd probably be on the streets, but I can't take the streets. I used to be able to when I was younger, but with all my health concerns, I don't think I. Homelessness is not a disease. It's a circumstance. But we can get more places like this. We won't have too many more homeless. And I thank God for Steel Commons.
This is Oliver, not your typical CAS client. With no family or friends to help care for, Lori, Oliver's owner, was released from a Valley hospital and arrived at CAS confused and inconsolable, concerned only for the pets she had left behind. Among Lori's few personal possessions was a binder with photos of these pets, among them Oliver. To help calm Lori, CAS staff members Rachel and Linda agreed to check on the cats. Unfortunately, one cat had already been lost, leaving only Oliver. Realizing he could be the key to calming the client, Oliver was temporarily moved into CAS's shelter. Stabilized and calm with her pet, CAS's shelter and case management team was able to learn more of the client's story and began working on a more suitable housing arrangement. Unfortunately, the chronic health issues became severe, and the client returned to the hospital, and after several weeks succumbed to the impact of the prolonged renal failure and heart disease that had brought her to the shelter. Oliver, however, has found a new home as CAS's resident shelter cat and provides hours of entertainment, peace, and comfort for clients, as well as being a living reminder of our clients' background stories. Regardless of the cause or the duration, homelessness does not have to be a permanent condition, nor does it permanently impact a person's ability to regain their self-sufficiency. For over 20 years, CAS has been the Valley's leading provider of shelter and services, caring for over 150,000 homeless men, women, and children, providing them with over 3.5 million nights of safe and secure shelter and a road home. CAS, where hope starts and homelessness ends.